Let me share a chilling story that still haunts the quiet streets of a small suburban town. It was on an ordinary autumn afternoon when Mrs. Henderson, a school bus driver for over 20 years, began her usual route of dropping off students. The sky was getting darker earlier these days, and a light fog had settled in. As she made her way through the winding road, something felt different. The familiar yellow bus hummed beneath her, its metal frame creaking slightly as it navigated the curves. She had already dropped off most of the children, with just 3 stops remaining. That's when she noticed something peculiar in her rearview mirror. The empty seats behind her seemed to shift and move, casting strange shadows in the dim light. She tried to shake off the uneasy feeling, telling herself it was just her imagination. But then came the sounds. At first, it was just a subtle scraping noise, like fingernails on metal. It grew louder, seeming to come from underneath the bus. Mrs. Henderson's hands gripped the steering wheel tighter, her knuckles turning white. The bus's engine started to sputter, and the headlights began to flicker. The radio, which had been playing soft country music, suddenly crackled with static before going dead silent. The temperature inside the bus dropped dramatically, and she could see her breath forming small clouds in the air. That's when she saw it in the mirror again, a dark mass moving between the seats, but this time it wasn't just shadows. The seats themselves were changing, twisting and contorting in impossible ways. The metal frame of the bus groaned and creaked as if it were being crushed by an invisible force. Mrs. Henderson pulled over, her heart pounding in her chest. The fog outside had grown thicker, making it impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. The bus's emergency lights cast an eerie red glow through the mist. She reached for her radio to call for help, but instead of the usual static, she heard children's laughter. The same children she had already dropped off. The sound seemed to echo from every corner of the bus, growing louder and more distorted with each passing second. When she finally managed to escape from the bus, running through the fog to the nearest house, the authorities found the bus exactly where she left it. But something was different. The entire interior had been twisted and warped, the metal bent in ways that defied explanation. The seats were melted and reformed, creating grotesque shapes that no one could explain. To this day, that bus sits in an impound lot, its yellow paint faded and peeling. No one has been able to explain what happened that afternoon, and Mrs. Henderson never drove a school bus again. Some say on foggy afternoons, you can still hear children's laughter coming from the abandoned bus, echoing through the empty seats. The strangest part? The bus's odometer showed it had traveled an additional 100 miles that night, even though it never left its parking spot. Sometimes the things we trust most in our daily lives hold the darkest secrets, and some questions are better left unanswered.